good. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday. We got energy today. So we are going into the third part of Speak Up, Public Speaking Part 3. I am your host, Jeannie Shimatsu with ADAP, and you are in for a great day. So again, before we get started, you know the routine. If you haven't signed in, please do. Everything's located in the chat box to your right. As a friendly reminder, we are recording this session. During this session, we will ask you to raise your hand if you have questions. So make sure you click on the participant icon and you'll see the raise hand, as well as mute and unmute. And Jennifer will indicate to you to unmute if we see your hand go up. Okay, so Growing Prevention Workshop Series. I know you guys know this, but we're gonna repeat it. This comes through a sponsorship by Behavioral Health Services South Bay Prevention in partnership with Mothers Against Drug Driving, MAD, LA County Office of Education, LACO, Friday Night Live Partnership, Asian American Drug Abuse Program, Inc., or ADAP, and the South Bay Communities Creating Change, SBC3 Coalition. And the Growing Prevention Series is funded by the LA County LA County Department of Health, Substance Abuse Prevention and Control. That is a mouthful. Okay, we are going to the next slide. I'm gonna have you take a look at this. You know what this is for, and thank you for participating in education, connection, and resources. We are going to go to the next slide. Okay, so rather than the traditional bio, this is our third and final Speak Up session. So I wrote a haiku for Jennifer. Bright as the night stars, paradoxical spirit. That's what makes Jen cool. So let us take a moment and let us have an exciting day, and let me introduce colleague and friend, Jennifer Harris, Speak Up Part 3.
Thank you, Jeannie. I love that. And thank you everyone for being here. I am super excited that I get to spend some time with everyone today. Together. The last two sessions were awesome and I had a great time. And I just want to share in reflection, while I was getting things together for the third session, it actually made me a little sad because I was thinking about the time that we spent together and everything that we've been able to do. Also the feedback that I've been getting from folks and folks who've been doing the homework. I appreciate that. It's just been really awesome and I am excited for us to continue the journey because it doesn't have to stop here. It doesn't have to stop with this presentation and the work that we're doing. So just know that we can continue to connect after this and continue to grow and public speaking together. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the music. We wanted to provide some energy today because we are going to have a great time. There are going to be numerous videos today, some from your fellow participants and also two from myself. And we will also see some videos from some speakers that I think are awesome. So if you have questions, then feel free to put them in the chat box anytime the questions come up. Additionally, we'll do Q&A at the end as an opportunity to answer any other questions. I also want to mention, I explained to Minor that, you know, in reflection, I could do another 3 sessions with new content because there's just so much out there. So with all that said, usually, or the last 2 sessions, let me change this back before you start reading. So last 2 sessions, I had slides that focused on myself and talked about things to help you get to know me, and also some challenges that I've had with public speaking, the fact that I don't like the Lakers and so forth. So, and if you have an issue with that, put it to the side for right now. We can talk afterwards. So, I wanted to take an opportunity for this last session for us to really connect and know some of the amazing things or meet some of the amazing people who are a part of our workshop. And so I'm going to read through some of the things that folks sent to me. And I want to acknowledge the folks who sent this information to me and let you know that I respect you, I appreciate you, and I am so glad that you have overcome in so many areas and that you've been able to do some amazing things and change lives. So let's get into it. I didn't really know what to call you all, so I just said speak upians. That's not even a word, but let's roll with it today. So Andre, the thing that Andre is most proud of was Andre's ability to complete junior college while sleeping in their car due to homelessness. And Andre got an AA in sociology and liberal studies and is continuing their education at Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. And that has been a long road to travel, but Andre is still on it with a smile. Fantastic job, Andre. Desiree says, I wanted to be a veterinarian for years when I was younger, but decided that I couldn't bear the thought of me not being able to help every animal. So other than being a drug prevention, I help with networking dogs in LA County shelters and in rescues to get them adopted through lots of social media sharing and tagging every day. And if I could, I would open my own rescue or be a full-time coordinator / photographer for a local rescue. Also, I went back to school to get my MPH after not being in school for 4 years and maintaining a 3.3 GPA. And Desiree is graduating this January. So congrats, Desiree. Julia says, I am very proud of my son, who's always been afraid of public speaking from childhood until adulthood. It is very challenging for him, but now he has had to, has had to overcome his fear of public speaking. I asked him how did he do that. He told me never to give up in any circumstance because of fear of public speaking and not to let fear control me. If I do, I will not fulfill my dream and it will affect who and what I want to be or who I want to serve and help. And that is very true. Lee shared that she is a linebacker, or she played linebacker on an all women's football team, and her teammate is the first African American female coach in the NFL. Congrats. Lily shared that one of her greatest moments, public speaking moments, happened when she was volunteering for MAD and the Every 15 Minutes program. And she was a victim speaker at Valencia High School. There were at least 500 students, plus parents and school staff. When her turn came to speak, her heart was beating like it does before she gets on stage. She started by sharing her daughter's life before she passed due to a teenager driving her home while under the influence and street racing. After sharing her before and after, I let my heart take over and spoke to those teens, asking them to live what my daughter couldn't, and so on. I did it with all my sincere emotions, all of a sudden, everybody was standing clapping as I got off stage. And the principal was crying. She hugged me and told me I was an amazing speaker. But the greatest moment was when the teenagers came and asked if they could give me a hug and promised me on their own that they would live for Val. The feeling of that complete emotion that you got through your audience, unexplainable, yet so gratifying. And for those who may not know it, Lily is the founder of Street Racing Kills, and her daughter was killed. And so thank you, Lily, for sharing your story and being brave. Meyer shared that something interesting about him is that he played piano for 8 years. My first year of playing piano, I played the first movement of Moonlight Sonata, and I couldn't stop crying out of how nervous I was. Once I got up there, I played my heart out and ended up winning a trophy first place. This was a moment in my life that I am most proud of. And Minor also added that he was pictured in an LA Times article protesting UC tuition hikes. And if you can see, he is right in the front, and that is right off of the article. So thank you, Minor, for what you do. And then lastly, we have Rebecca. Her greatest speaking moment was delivering a speech when she accepted her Humanitarian of the Year award last year, and she nailed it. Fantastic job. Tosin shared that when she was in elementary school, she was a part of a statewide group called the California Page Flippers and advised state educators on reading programs. And this is actually a screenshot of the article that Tosin was in, and it's dated May 5th, 2000. And lastly, Yolanda shared that she is a former peace officer and is currently a job developer and a certified massage therapist. Something that she's very proud of is taking care of her mother who had terminal Alzheimer's disease. So I just wanted to share interesting things about the folks who are participating, because I want you all to know that everything that you do takes courage. There are steps that you are going to take where you are going to take risks. We have the ability to talk about fear in one of our last sessions, and you all are doing amazing things. And sometimes it may not feel like it, but we have the ability to change lives. And in everything that we do, if we have an opportunity to speak, we need to be able to use our gift. So for those who are new, thank you for joining us. With Behavioral Health Services, which is the organization I work for, I'm a prevention coordinator, and our organization has a lot of treatment sites throughout Los Angeles County and a couple in Orange County. We primarily focus on drug prevention and drug treatment. With the South Bay Prevention Program, Minor is a part of my team, and then we also have Erica and Roberta. And we have the ability to do some amazing things like advocate towards policies that protect young people, plan and coordinate a Drug Kills Dream youth conference youth summit every year, and also programming for young people and communities. So we are going to watch our first video, and this video is with Kid President. So let's play this. Uh-oh. So for some reason it says the video is not available. So I'm going to pull the video up. Here we are. One second, let's get rid of the ad. And I will bring you all back. I will share my screen and make this full screen.
It's time to wake up, people. This one goes out for teachers and students. It's time to get on going on. And we got lots to learn too. I don't know it all, but I know a few things. Science. You hear? You take up space, you matter. It's just science, man. Don't be a bully. Don't be a bully to the bullies. It just makes more bullies. We can all be awful sometimes. We can all also be awesome. It's time to be more awesome. And that's what it's time for. History. We got to study it so we don't repeat it. But if history does repeat itself, now I'm going to name my pet dinosaur Reginald. I just hope he doesn't eat me. We can't just study history. We gotta make history. And history is made by ordinary people. Ordinary people like you and me. And that guy. The world's greatest thinkers. Confucius, Albert Einstein, Justin Timberlake. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like me. I put my pants on one leg at a time while I'm dancing. You can go by. Yeah. You're gonna be in the video though. That's a school. You gotta show up. You can't just sleep in. You can't be late. And you can't just hang out in the bathroom, that's wrong. It's like what Whitman said, YOLO. Except he didn't say that, but you would know that if you would read a book. Seriously, read a book, any book except the vampire ones. You wanna change the world? You gotta know about it. What if Shakespeare didn't go to school? His plays would be even more confusing. To be or not to be? Is that the question? I don't know what question is. I didn't go to school. Anybody? Help me out here. I got a question for you. But what are you teaching the world? How to be boring? How to make the world sad? No, you're not. We're teaching the world what it looks like to be awesome. No matter who you are, somebody's learning from you. Everybody's a teacher and everybody's a student. Look for the awesome. Teachers see things. They see when you're running down the hall. They see when you're passing notes. But they also see the person that we can all become someday. A writer or a speaker or Martin Luther King. Teacher, keep teaching. Students, keep studying. That's not a word. Sorry about that. Here's to teachers that see the awesome. Your homework is this. What do you want to teach the world? Do it. Let's make some history together. Because it's simple math. Together, we're forever. Those girls are a little too loud. If their teacher inspires you, let them know. This is for teachers everywhere, so share it with them. We gotta make the world awesome. Somebody's learning from you. I'm out. Get to learn all. We're making history. I'm gone.
Awesome.
All righty. So, I want to know, what are your thoughts on this video? What are some thoughts? You can either raise your hand or you can type in the chat box. And it doesn't necessarily need to be about the video itself, but about him. This is Kid President. So what are your thoughts on what he shared?
Adria says he is so confident and energetic. We're getting a lot of very charismatic. He's very real. Let's see, fearless. Noel says, great presentation. He makes you smile. Evelyn also says he is enthusiastic and genuine. And then Rose says, great energy, funny, speaks clearly.
Cool.
Julia says confident. Yeah.
Yes. So I wanted to show this video because a lot of times I will hear folks say, I can't do it. And sometimes people will say, I haven't learned the skill, or they'll talk about the lack of confidence they have. They will talk about how their fear is just this debilitating thing that they can't move past. And I really love Kid President. He has a lot of videos, by the way, so feel free to watch them. He is a teenager now. But I love Kid President because he exudes this level of confidence. He believes in what he's saying and he's sharing it. Right? We talk about speaking from the heart and how you can captivate people. When you watch this video, you're not focused on words he made up or how he's articulating his words to be this amazing thing. You're focused on his energy, his charisma. You're focused on the inspiration that he's giving, the feeling that he's making you feel, right? How he's making you feel. Those are the things you're focusing on. And so when you are public speaking, when you have the opportunity to speak publicly, it's important that you remember those things. It's important that you look at your body language, you look at how you're connecting with folks and the impact that you are able to make. You have to be able to believe what you are saying. Because if you don't believe what you're saying, the folks who are listening to you are not going to believe what you're saying. We talked about body language previously. We also talked about the connection that you're able to make with your audience. All these things are extremely important when you are public speaking. So our objectives, again, individually assessing your public speaking skills and identifying areas of improvement and being able to develop an action plan. But I really want you to think about what your next steps can be as far as your public speaking is concerned, so you can continue developing. Also, being able to speak and improve public speaking skills are practicing methods and techniques used in giving presentations, having conversations, talking to media, city council, tabling that again. So I have a where did I go wrong video, which we talked about last time in regards to things that you should or shouldn't do. So I know that we have some new folks who are present, and we are going to, actually, I'm going to skip this video, and if we have time at the end, we will do it. So here's looking at the video. This one is shorter than the other one. And so this one is focused on the things that are done right. So I want you all to watch this video and then afterwards point out some of the things that were right. The one thing I will say, last time we talked about the lighting, these were recorded last week. So last time we talked about the lighting, don't worry about that because that's not something that I could control in the moment, but we'll get into it. Let's get into it. Thorn, a popular brand in the South Bay. Our young people report that the reason why they use Thorn as a brand is because it costs less money than Juul. We took some screenshots of Thorn's website. At the top of their website, it reads, warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. This product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Juul, popular brand amongst young people nationally, their website, the exact same thing. Right at the top, warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. This product contains nicotine, which is an addictive chemical. All right, so I want to hear from you all. What are things in this video that you thought were good? Things that you thought went well. So you can either type it in the chat box or you can raise your hand and
So some of the feedback from, let's see, we have Rebecca said you didn't block the screen when you were talking. Adria shared not turn your back to the audience. Rith shared your body was facing the screen.
The audience.
Oh, the audience. Expressive in your speech to convey the point from Rebecca. Body language, pointing at the screen and you smiled when you were you smiled, you were confident, continued eye contact with the audience. It was from Kate. Evelyn repeats the same thing: confident body language, confident, expressive, passionate about the information you were providing. Great soundbite.
Cool, awesome. Thank you all very much for that. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I wanted to show this particular or that particular video is because I've been asked before from folks, like, is it okay for you to be repetitive in something you're saying? And I want to say, yes, it is. But do you have a point? What is the point that you are trying to make in being repetitive? So my point in that particular slide is getting folks to understand that those products, those particular vaping products, contain nicotine, and nicotine is addictive. I have people that have come up to me and they have repeated it back to me sometime later after they've heard me present that particular slide. So if you want to emphasize the point, you have the ability to repeat something that you are sharing, but also making sure that you are connecting with your audience. So we are going to get into some of the homework. There are some people who submitted homework, and for folks who sent me the homework like right before we were getting ready to start, unfortunately I wasn't able to add it. So let's see a couple of videos. And a reminder, folks were asked to record a 1-minute video, whether they were doing a presentation, speaking at city council, tabling at an event, conducting outreach, giving a thank you speech, or something else. So this is Adria.
Born and raised in South Los Angeles, I've always had a love for my community. From being involved in the church to being educated via Christian private school, Atherton Christian in Hawthorne, LAUSD, George Washington Prep of Los Angeles, and Santa Monica College, I've experienced the benefits of local education in life. But as important as education was, so was music. With the influence of my pianist mother and my vocalist father, a love and an appreciation for music has been ingrained in me from the beginning as well. My journey to South Central Prevention Coalition has been charted through family, faith, and love, and through hard work, through a devotion to God, and through a never-ending commitment to my community. Coming to South Central Prevention Coalition was a no-brainer. Through every peak, through every valley, it's been an honor, it's been a privilege to be a part of the SCPC South Central Prevention Coalition team. I thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Adria. So what are some things that Adria did well? You can either type it in the chat box or raise your hand.
Merida shared that she spoke off the cuff, did not use a script. Well done. Melissa shares that she told a story. Genuine, hooked people in with her story, natural and friendly, confident in her story. But she demonstrated confidence and commitment to serve.
Yes, I'll also add Adria, I appreciated your inflection with your voice. I love that you had a range and you paused in certain moments because I could feel it. I could feel what you were saying and really connect to it. So fantastic job. Let's go to our next video. So this video is from Chanty, and it is titled Crazy Drivers Terrorize Community. Residents speak out.
Mayor, vice mayor, city manager, council members, and the law enforcement department. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak in this town hall meeting tonight. My name is Chanti Yi. I am the 8th District constituent living in North Long Beach. I would like to express my community concern about the safety that urgently needs to address the issue because there are a handful of crazy drivers making donut-shaped circling round and round at the intersection of South Street and Dairy Avenue. Their dangerous driving caused a very loud, squeaky, long noise that woke us up in the middle of the night. Felt so scared, like in the middle of a war zone. Also, they emitted swirling black smoke, which had a pungent smell, and we had to breathe on it. They leave countless black skid marks because they cause eyesore to the public too. Their dangerous, crazy driving is so disturbing, annoying. We feel terrified for our lives. Those fast-speed driving could easily kill innocent pedestrians or residents who are just leisurely walking or sitting nearby that intersection, which is as either playground for those deranged drivers day and night, which have happened so many times. Surprisingly, we have never seen any one of them get caught by the police. And speaking on behalf of my worried neighbors, we would like to request you as our elected officials and as our law enforcement to seriously collaborate, working together to take effective action to build either speed bumps or concrete island shape or little round garden in the middle of that intersection that could deter those repeat offenders, reckless, crazy drivers from potentially killing babies, people, and jeopardize our life of living a nice, quiet of North Long Beach. Thank you very much for your time listening to our community concern. We seriously request for our safety, live healthy, and hopefully you will consider taking appropriate action to help solve those crazy driving donut-shaped irritating issues in our neighborhood. Good night.
Awesome. Thank you, Chanti, for that. So if folks could share in the chat box or raise your hand, what did Chanti do well? What did he do well? Minor, you're muted.
Sorry about that. So Meredith says he used proper etiquette in addressing the decision makers and ended it with a specific call to action. Rebecca says clear, concise message. Desiree says spoke clearly and at a good pace. Rose said stated the issues and concern and suggested a solution clearly. Adria said he had a system in his message. Lily said made his point. Tosin said well-structured speech, acknowledgements, issue, and solution. Gabriella says organized. Kate says passionate, made clear his concerns and expectations. Julia says well expressed the community concern. And Noelle says consider pretending there is an audience project to project to the back of the room clear about his. Yeah, sorry about that.
Cool. Yeah, thank you for that feedback. Something that I really love about this is Chanti's use of description. You did a great job being descriptive and you gave examples. It woke you up out of your sleep. It felt like you were in a war zone. You talked about the impact that it has on the street with the skid marks and the impact that it could have by harming babies and harming other folks in the community. Those were all great things. I think the one thing I will say, just for some feedback, is to just focus. You can use the paper, but just focus on looking up a little bit more so you can connect a little bit more with your audience. And also, just for folks to understand that there are certain points that you really want to drive home in what you're saying. And those particular points are the points that you need to be looking directly at the people you are trying to connect with, so they can know that this is serious. And not that all of it isn't serious, but I want you to know this particular thing. And Chanty, the one thing I will say, add, is you mentioned those crazy drivers several times. So that is one thing that I'll remember, is there are some crazy drivers on that in that particular intersection doing donuts. And I think you did a great job honing in on your point. So great job. So Yolanda, thank you very much for sending your video. So this was an interview that Yolanda had, and we were able to get a snippet of the video. There is some, I'll just say right now, like breaking up in the video, like technical breaking up in the video. So you don't have to type it in the chat box because it's a part of the video, but let's get into it.
Sometimes kids come in and they're sometimes kids do things that,
Sorry, let's start it over.
sometimes kids come in and they're suicidal. Sometimes kids do things that, they don't realize they're doing, and then they get in there and they're having nightmares and they become suicidal. There was a girl who actually set her grandmother on fire. Like the crazy kids, we had, San Francisco County kids who lit a man on fire and pushed him out a window, and when they get there, of course they regret what they've done. They did it under peer pressure or whatever, for whatever reason, but they get suicidal. So some kids, they have a watch, so you have to put on their door. Every 15 minutes, you have to go in and look at that kid. Every 5 minutes, you have to go in and look at that kid. There was a kid in one unit when I worked in the B3 unit. It was called an 911 tool. It's a sharp knife. It's like a jagged, and it just cuts the sheet really fast. So when you see that, since we're already checking him every 5 minutes, like there's not that much time for him to, do that. But the counselor had to come in and hold him long enough for another counselor to get that tool and cut it and get him to the infirmary. He did not die, so that was the great thing. We had a kid who somehow got matches in his room.
All right, so that is the end of the video. And so there were some things that Yolanda did really well, and I would like to hear from you all. So we can start typing in the chat box.
Great level of detail and energy from Gabriela. Her demeanor was inviting from Adria. Kate said she's very expressive. Meredith, even though it was hard to hear, you could tell she's passionate. Melissa shared that it's the use of her hand gestures. Noelle said good energy.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate those comments. Yolanda, I think something you did really well was definitely your energy and your expressiveness, but also your storytelling. I think I love that you shared some stories that took place, and you talked about a young man, but you mentioned that in everything he experienced, he did not die, right? So there was some hope, right? And so we know that every story isn't like that. And I also understand that this is just a clip, but I definitely appreciate your energy. I appreciate that even though you were talking about a tough subject, suicide is an extremely tough subject or a tough topic. I think that folks were still able to connect with what you were saying and about the work that's being done. So thank you again for that. And we have a video from Melissa. Thank you, Melissa. I'm sorry, can you hear it? All right, one sec.
Feel free to skip it.
No, you don't get out of this one, friend. So let's go to audio. All right, so hopefully this will adjust the volume.
You had to pause on my lazy eye, girl.
Okay, one sec. I want to make sure that folks get their due, right? This is, so let's see if you can hear her video.
Good morning. My name is Martha,
Is this any better?
and I'm a senior program specialist at London Institute of Driving. Math missions and your driving
It's a little better. You think you just have to listen.
Since it's National Prevention Week, we want to encourage you to play your part. No matter who you are, the role you play is crucial. I'm here today, not as a mother who lost a child, but as a sister of two survivors. I'm here today as a friend, devastated by his life options. And I'm here today as an aunt, with a 13-year-old niece who just became a dream. What you say just matters greatly. So share those facts, have that uncomfortable talk, and be the role model for those around you, young and old. You can make a difference. Be seen, be heard, be that person that stays alive.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa, for your video. Great job on that. So hopefully folks were able to hear, and I'd love to get your feedback. What are things that Melissa did well?
So Rebecca says, I like how she said, I'm here as a friend, relatable. Merida says, very polished. Tosin says, sharing personal connection to the issue. Yolanda says, she related to the audience. And Noelle says, sorry, couldn't hear, with the comma. Rose says she introduced herself and her organization stated call to action clearly. Gabriela says, inviting. Sonia says, showed compassion and told how she was impacted.
Yes, I love that. And Melissa, you did a fantastic job with your call to action and really connecting with the issue. And I love that you mentioned that, you know, you're not a mother, you don't have a child that, you know, was lost, but this is how I'm connected, right? This is how I connect to the issue. And I definitely believe that you are relatable, and your tone was very consistent. It was something that I could connect to, and it felt like I should take this seriously. So fantastic job on that. So I want to recap for those who are new, one, introduce for those who are new, but recap for those who have participated, the things that we have covered, because I want you to be able to take all of this in and use it when we do our activity. So we talked about the content, having a grabber. This is your attention getter. So you may want to open up with a question, a shocking statistic, or a personal story. We'll also talk about some of the top things that the 50 top TEDx speakers, some of their openings or introductions that they've done. Also having an introduction, so you can briefly talk about say what you're going to be talking about. You also, it's important to be able to have everything organized within a body. So it can be 3 main points. As I encouraged before, please don't go over 5. Sometimes we try and include everything because we want people to know everything, because everything is important. The problem is, even though everything may be important, you are more likely to lose folks because they can't digest what you're saying than for them to be able to say, wow, these 3 points were so good, I was able to digest them and I can share them with someone else, or I can actually do what they're asking me to do. The other thing is having a conclusion. making sure that you briefly restate your main point, and then having some final thoughts where you either return to your grabber, you can give a quote, a vision for a future, or a call to action like Melissa did. And then also your delivery, looking at your vocal characteristics, your rate, your volume, pitch, inflection, and enunciation. Also looking at some of those nonverbal things. So we talked about your personal appearance. We talked about your body language and how many hand gestures you should use, or how many you should not use, or even walking around or having great posture. We also talked about appropriate facial expressions, because sometimes we look angry, and though we feel like we don't look angry, that's how other people see us. And they may be so focused on how angry we look versus connecting to the words that we're saying, right? Or we may seem just too happy for the subject or the topic, and then people get distracted and they're lost because it doesn't match with what we're saying. And also eye contact, which is extremely important, so folks know that you are talking to them and they can connect with what you're saying. We talked last week about first impressions and how first impressions matter. Now, you only get one shot to make a first impression, and it's not just in life, but it's also in public speaking. So we talked about having 30 seconds to be able to impress someone and to be able to connect with them, for them to want to listen to what you're saying. We also talked about how there are some studies out there saying that you only have 7 seconds to be able to make an impression and for it to be a positive one. So keep that in mind. We talked about command presence and how that is essentially someone who is presenting yourself as someone who is in authority, you're trusted, you're respected. It's focused on how you look, how you carry yourself, how you act, and how you speak. So command presence is extremely important when it comes to public speaking, because trust is something you want your audience to have with you. If they don't trust you, they're more likely to not listen to what you're saying, more likely to get on their phones or to leave the room, or just sit there because their teacher said that they were going to give them extra credit for them to come. So be mindful of those things. Also, we talked about the 4 C's with command presence. So we talked about your confidence, competence, clarity, and communication. These are all important things when it comes to command presence. And then we continued with some information around delivery. We talked about speaking slowly, but not too slowly, because you don't want your audience to be bored or fall asleep. We also talked about pausing between ideas, which Adria did a really great job. We talked about avoiding filler words like or you know, like, yeah. And we talked about carefully articulating and pronouncing your words so folks will be able to understand you. Lastly, we talked about audience relations and how important it is, making sure that you acknowledge your audience as soon as you take the stage, grabbing their attention immediately when you begin speaking, finding a friendly face so you're able to connect with folks and you are making sure you're looking at the audience, and then also making eye contact regardless of how big your audience is. So what's new? So the 50 most popular TED Talks, they have all started this in one of these ways. So simply introducing themselves or introducing their topic, starting with a story. So being able to connect the story with what you're saying, and then going into what your topic is or your subject matter is, asking a question, which gives people something to ponder on, telling them what you're going to tell them. So this is also in the pre and post test, so remember that. So sometimes you can start off by saying just that. This is what I'm going to talk about. Setting up a problem. And when you set up a problem, it gives you the opportunity to work through what you're saying and get to a conclusion, right? So you start with the problem, you're working through to a conclusion, making them laugh. So yes, it's great to make people laugh. Everybody does not have this ability. Also, you don't want to focus on a joke or something that you heard from someone else. You want to be able to connect in a natural way if you're choosing to make people laugh. Also, interacting with the audience, using a metaphor, giving a punchy fact, or doing something unique. So these are all things that the 50 most popular TED Talks start with. This does not mean that this is what you have to start with, but these are all things that can help engage your audience right off the bat. So just keep that in mind. So we have a video on 4 tips to improve your public speaking and how to captivate your audience. This video, I am hoping that it works. If not, I will pull it up via YouTube.
Say, do what you can, where you are with what you have, and never be satisfied. Anticipation is the ultimate advantage in business and in life. Like, you're not 100% sure what can happen if you keep going. You can do it. Tomorrow is going to be better.
What do you tell people when they ask you, how can I present like you? How can I get better?
The thing that really, really helps is I've learned about the perspective to change my perspective. So for example, I show up to give, and I always remind people that the most important thing about being an effective presenter, an effective speaker, is you have to show up with a giving attitude. You have to show up to give. You know something, you've seen something, you've done something, you've tried something that someone else thinks others need to hear. That's why they invited you to speak. The problem is the number of people who show up to take, to get. And you can see it, it's very plain to see. People ask a question and they say, you'll have to buy my book. Or you could just tell me the answer because you know the answer because you wrote in a book, right? But clearly they're trying to drive book sales. It's a taking mentality. Every single slide of their PowerPoint has their Instagram, their email, their website, their Facebook. Well, clearly they want you to follow them. They want you to reach out. The last slide is their website and their email, right? They have a taking mentality. They come up and the first thing they do is tell you their credentials. Hi, my name is, Dr. Blah blah. I have 6 PhDs. I've worked for 55 companies. I advise CEOs and generals. And let me tell you a little something. It's about them. It's very easy and very quick to discern who's the giver and who's the taker. The best speakers, 100% of them. You look at all the top 10 folks, Sir Ken Robinson, Amy Cuddy, Brene Brown, right? Dan Pink, all of them are there to give. None of them want anything from anybody, not even your approval. I don't know any great speaker that stands in the backstage that goes, I'm gonna get a standing ovation. You may get one if you earn it, if they decide that what you've given them is of value. That's not the reason you show up. You show up to give.
How many of you guys experience fear when you speak? How many of you, by show of hands, know that public speaking is fundamental to your industry, your career? By show of hands. How many of you, by show of hands, honestly speaking, experience a little bit of fear when we talk about public speaking? Raise your hand. And over the last 3 years, I've had the opportunity to travel the country and deliver presentations like this. And what I've picked up on is that there are certain patterns. There are certain patterns and certain skill sets that, if applied, can make a public speech amazing. If you follow these principles that we're going to talk about today, I don't care what industry you're part of. I don't care what work you're in. I don't care what year you are. I don't care how old you are. I believe if you apply these principles today, you can literally transform where you are and take the journey to where you want to be. Straightforward. I believe there's 3 principles, 3 A's of public speaking, 3 things that I wanted to leave you with today. And I believe if you take action on it, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm glad I came. So number 1, authenticity engages. November 2017, I was afforded the opportunity to give my first TEDx talk. And man, can I tell you, I was excited. You got to imagine a young professional starting out, ready, 26 years old. And I want to make this very clear. So I'm thinking to myself, and what I used to do is when I prepare, I would give a talk at least 100 times before I give it. Write that down. I give it mentally, I give it out, I talk to people conversationally, in the shower, like, okay, this is, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this, right? And I think to myself, PowerPoint or no PowerPoint? That's all I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, if I give this presentation, should I use the PowerPoint behind me? Should I just use me? Or should I use the PowerPoint? So I'm researching and I'm watching. I've watched more TED Talks than you could possibly imagine. And I'm like, okay, they do this, they do that. Okay, I've seen good ones with the PowerPoint. I've seen good ones without. And what I noticed is I said, you know what? I'm gonna ask my closest friends and family. I'm gonna take a poll. 12 people that I love, that know me well. I said, sister, should I use a PowerPoint? She goes, yeah, something to back you up, use a PowerPoint. I go, mom, should I use a PowerPoint? She says, no PowerPoint, use you. I say, bro, should I use a PowerPoint? He goes, yeah, you need the stats to back up what you've done. I said, cool. I go through the entire list, 6-6. I put the list down and I go, what was I thinking with an even number? I'm getting ready for the biggest speech of my professional life, right? And professionals, people that I love are telling me no PowerPoint, PowerPoint, and it's 6-6. And I'm like, how am I gonna break this tie? I'm like, wait, I didn't ask one person. I didn't ask myself. I did not ask myself what I would be most comfortable with to present. When we talk about public speaking and why I say authenticity engages, listen to me here. You have to know yourself before you go and seek advice. You have to speak from the gut before you go and ask. Because when you're talking to an audience can feel realness. And you have to be yourself. If you can't be yourself, you will never engage in the way in which you want to. That I have to listen to me first in order to really deliver a message that informs and inspires. Number 2, awareness. Awareness connects the speaker to the audience. And this is what I mean. And so one of the speaking events comes about, and I get the opportunity to speak in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And before the event, you know, you want to be early, you want to be ready, know your audience, know your crowd. I hear like all this partying type thing going on. I'm like, what's going on? And I go down and they have an open bar. And they had the open bar for hours. They were lit, guys. They were lit, right? And so listen, I go to the event. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be a professional, motivational, this is what you need to do. And I walk into a party. And so as a speaker, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like I was prepared to do one thing. I flew all the way here and there's literally a party in the audience. Like the wave, the energy is like, hey, I hope this guy's cool. I hope he's gonna, you know, have a joke. And I'm like, that's not the content that I delivered. So I get up, they call me up and I walk up just like this. And they're as quiet as you guys are. They're literally staring at me like, what's this guy about, right? And at that moment, I decided right before I got up, I said, you know what? I'm gonna tell a story. And I said, before I begin, I just wanna let you guys know I'm coming from Sacramento. And I hopped on the plane and I met an individual and we're chatting it up. And he thought I was going to give a presentation in Colorado. And I told him, no, I'm actually giving a presentation in Sioux Falls. And the look on his face was blank. And he said, excuse me, where? And I said, Sioux Falls. And he said these 3 words, and I'll never forget it. He said, are you sure? And I said that, and there was a man sitting right where you're sitting. And he literally laughed like he was at a Kevin Hart special. he lost, I'm talking chair went back. He's laughing so hard. It's about a crowd of 200 that everybody, you guys ever caught this when somebody laughs so hard that you have to laugh? The whole crowd literally just starts busting laughing. And I start laughing from the stage. I'm like, man, if this is how it's gonna be, let's have a good time. And at that moment, I realized something, because the old me would have been so stuck on the preparation part that I would have never had the audacity. I would have never had the awareness. Situational awareness is what I mean. When you speak or present, sometimes things will not go as planned. And there's no way to plan for it. And what you have to do is be fluid and malleable and ready to rock with the situation. And if you have situational awareness, what often can happen is you can play on what is happening. I said, huh.
Okay. So this video.
Say, do what you can, where you are, with what you have.
1 second.
And absolutely be transformative. I'm passionate about this. I believe this because I live this. I'm telling you, you have to be bold. You can't half step into your presentation. You have to be bold. You cannot half step into your presentation. And one of the ways in which we do that is we deliver a story. Story includes power. Stories are powerful. They're the most powerful thing that you can do when you open your mouth, because the brain operates in pictures, and a story has the ability to paint the picture in the mind of another individual. They did a study about TED Talks. In the top TED Talks, I'm talking the million hits, the top TED Talks, 85% of them were story-centric. Stories can be crossed over to any industry at any time. Whether you're telling your personal story, whether it's Martin Luther King delivering a speech, whether it's a president of a country, a story is the thing that has time sit and lets you go like this. Huh. Story is powerful, right? Never tell a story without making a point, but never make a point without telling a story. Like, use the story to drive home what you're trying to do. It crosses every industry, anything that you want to do, a story will get you there.
Cool. So some of the things, I really like this video because it's just, at one, it's just powerful, right? There are some great things that are shared in the video, and I'm appreciative that the young man talks about the connection to your audience, talks about if you notice his body language, if you notice the power in his words, if you notice the inflection in his voice, how he worked the room, how he told stories that you could connect to, all of those things are extremely important. And making sure that you're connecting to your audience is important. Making sure that you show up to give, right? There are so many people, and Simon is extremely right about this. There are so many people who want the glory, right? When it comes to life in general, but even when it comes to public speaking, like, I want the glory. I want the standing ovation. I want people to give me praise afterwards. If I don't get that praise, then I must have done a bad job. If I don't get the standing ovation, then that means that they didn't really care. But going into a public speaking situation like that can not only cause you a lot of anxiety and grief, but you're going into it with the wrong mindset, because you need to be focused on what you want people to be able to get out of it. What do you want to be able to give people so that they're growing? How do you want to use your words as power, with the power that they have, to be able to change lives, for folks to be able to connect with what you're saying? And so it's important that you take all of these things, the content, the delivery, your audience, command presence, making sure that you take all of those things and put them together to wrap it into the most amazing public speaking package so that you can connect with your audience in a way that they will be engaged, that they will be inspired, and that they will want to be able to take the information and either share it, to be able to use it, to be able to move towards action and get something done. You want it to be something that they really connect with. And so, as I mentioned during our first session, there are so many opportunities that you have to be able to do public speaking. And it takes practice. It takes an opportunity for you to say it. Like the young man said, he does it 100 times. He does it in the shower. He does it in having conversations. He does it in his mind. He's thinking and processing what he's saying, because that will help you become a better public speaker. That repetition and being able to say it and connect what you're saying to your audience, that practice is going to help you develop and really hone your skill, hone your craft as a public speaker. And it doesn't matter if it's one-on-one with the doctor. It doesn't matter if it's you engaging folks because you're throwing a party or because it's tied to your work and you have to go in and speak to your supervisor or give a speech at a wedding. Whatever it is, public speaking skills can help in any situation. And so it's important that you take these tools and use them to continue to develop. So time check, it is 11:16 and we are supposed to end at 11:30. I definitely want to make sure we end on time because I know there are folks that have things to do. So we have our other things after this. There is an activity that I wanted us to get to. However, it's going to take more time in order for us to do it. So instead of us doing the activity, I'm going to share some additional tidbits with everyone, and maybe we can figure out something else for us to incorporate the activity, and for folks who want to get on, then they can do it. So we are going to skip the activity, and I'm just going to leave it on this slide while I talk to you about some other things. So some other points that I want to make is something that I like to call the bounce back. And I share this because sometimes we get distracted. Sometimes we need a moment. Sometimes there's just a lot going on and we need to be able to bounce back in that moment. And so let me grab my notes for this actually. So when I talk about your bounce back, I'm going to share a couple of situations that I've had where I've had to bounce back. And one of them is heavier than the other, but I think it's important that you all understand if you get into a situation where you need to bounce back, where you need to get into things and continue, even though there's so many distractions, or even though there are things going on, it is possible for you to do it. It's possible for you to bounce back. I'll give you one example. So this is going to be what you shouldn't do example. I don't know how many people, and you can raise your hands or type in the chat box if you watch 90 Day Fiance. And right now they have, all right, Melissa, I saw that head. So right now they have Before the 90 Days. And this past Sunday's episode, Ash from Australia, he is a relationship coach and he went to do a seminar. And if you saw the episode, he walked in and he had this poise and confidence and he connected well with the women who came to see him. And however, he got up there and began to speak. And as he was speaking, well, from my perspective, I'm like, what? You're a relationship coach? And even his girlfriend, she was like, what? What is he saying? However, there was a point when a young lady asked a question and he gave a response, and you could start to tell he was getting flustered. And that just really threw him off, right? Because the question she asked was pushing back. And someone else asked another question. And you could see the defensiveness start to build up. And there was a point, and I wanted to find the clip, but I couldn't find a clean clip for me to play. But there was a point when he got so flustered that he just stopped. And he said something like, I have a lot of thoughts going on in my head and they're moving really fast. So I just need a moment. And he walked out. I mean, just walked out. And so his girlfriend went behind him and they talked a little bit, and then he walked back in and he continued to speak, but he had already lost his audience. They were already lost. I mean, even when he was outside, the camera showed the women in the audience, they were laughing and, you know, all kinds of stuff, right? He got so flustered that when he came back in, because he had already lost his audience, it was hard for him to even get them back. And he started talking about the 5 love languages when he came back in. However, they were already lost, but then he also continued down that downward spiral, right? Which is unfortunate. So when it comes to your bounce back, one of the things that you have to have is self-awareness. You need to be able to have self-awareness while you're speaking. You also need to be able to read your audience. Your audience, they will let you know for the most part if you're doing really well, if you're not connecting. When you say something that hits them and they're like, oh man, and it makes them think, or you say something that they're like, wow, that was disrespectful, I can't believe it, right? Your audience will give you, most oftentimes they'll give you that energy and they'll give you that feedback. So you need to be able to recognize that. You also need to make sure that in connecting with your audience and the words that you're using, if you notice in the moment that you're saying something that's like, oh, I shouldn't have said it, or whatever the case may be, learn to pivot. It is important that you learn to pivot. And if you think about basketball, playing basketball, and basketball players, they may pivot. You need to be able to pivot in an instance once you connect. Or if you have someone that is there and they're giving you that, then you, and someone you trust, by the way, then you need to learn to pivot. You don't have to stay there and you don't have to continue going through that downward spiral. You can shift what you are saying and you can also shift your focus. So some bounce back moments that I've had to have where so many things were going on, or I was in the middle of a presentation and someone said something and it had me go, wait, what? But then I needed to be able to bounce back and I needed to be able to continue. I had an instance, and this was actually last year on May 20th or March 20th at one of the high schools in Torrance. And we were given a presentation on vaping. And as I was talking about the different chemicals that are, that's found in marijuana, that's found in nicotine products, then there was a student, and there were 200 plus students in the auditorium. There was a student who raised his hand and I called on him and he said, well, there are chemicals in the food that we eat too. So are you saying that we shouldn't eat food? And then in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like why, you know? Because one, they're high school students, so it turned into like this funny thing and like, yeah, he has a point. Like there are chemicals in our food and we shouldn't, right? I could have gotten stuck there. I could have let that throw me off and I could have been like, oh my gosh, like, okay, let's just switch to something else, right? But I acknowledge the fact that there are chemicals in a lot of the foods that we eat, but there are also foods that don't have chemicals in them. And I also talked about the fact that there are chemicals in a lot of things that we're connected to, but instead of going down a spiral, it was my acknowledgement. How can I connect it after my acknowledgement, connecting it back to what the point that I'm trying to make and making sure the education was taking place, because that was my biggest thing, right? Is the education. They need to learn the information. So sometimes there may be distractions or things that may happen, but you need to be able to figure out, how do you bounce back? How do you get back to your point so that way things are focused? And sometimes it may be difficult because there may be people who are pressing back. They may ask a question that you don't know the answer to. That's perfectly fine. Just let them know that you'll get back to them, or you can talk with them afterwards. Or there may be someone else in the room that you trust and know the answer that can also share, and you can lean on them to be able to provide it. Another bounce back situation that I had, on April 26, 2017, I was coordinating an event with my Lions Club, and it was a large event, 100+ people, and I needed to get up and speak. Right before I was going to get up and speak, I received news that my grandmother had passed away. Right before I was getting ready to speak. And there were some of my other family members who were there, and I mean, they were bawling, just broke down everything. But I needed to be able to rise to the occasion in that moment. And I had to continue to push forward because I was the main piece of that particular program. And especially since I coordinated the event, there was no one else who could have done it. So I got up there and I spoke, did what I needed to do, and I was able to finish the event and then take a moment afterwards. I want to acknowledge that that's not always easy for folks, but I needed to put things into perspective for what my responsibility and my commitment was, and that it was okay for me to be able to grieve after I got up there and shared what I needed to share. So what I want to express to you all is, there may be times where you're in difficult public speaking situations. So many distractions, so many things going on, technology issues. The number of people that the school said was going to show up didn't show up, and it's so much lower, and you feel discouraged, or you just found out some bad news and you haven't even had a chance to process it, but you need to get on stage in 5 minutes. Figure out what it is for you that will help level you out. Figure out what it is that will help create focus for you, so that way you can do what you need to do and you can still do an amazing job. The only people who know what happened in that moment to this day outside of you all now is my family, because I was able to get up there and do what I needed to do, and to be able to get off stage and make sure the event still ran smoothly. There are going to be things that take place. There are going to be things that happen. You may end up messing up. You may end up saying something that you really wish you shouldn't have, but you have the ability to be able to acknowledge it, to be able to refocus, and to get the job done. It's in all of you. And so, some public resources I would like to share. Ginger Public Speaking, and as Minor mentioned in the chat box, everyone will receive the slides. Ginger Public Speaking is really cool because they have an assessment that you can take where you can assess your public speaking skills. They also provide some free training courses. They have some resources, which we'll send a PDF out of the 10 best ways to start your talk. Some of the pretest information came off of there. Additionally, Toastmasters International, which is something that is widely known. My mom did Toastmasters when we were really young, like elementary school age. TED Talks are great. It's good for you to watch TED Talks or other people doing public speaking, because you can point out some of those things that would be great, and also even adopting some things that you see really well, that went really well and you'd like to do. Coursera, they actually have free online classes. Public speaking course, they have a public speaking course that's actually going to begin today. It is online and free. And I want to encourage you, if you are interested in taking their class, that you enroll today, because it will begin. And there is some homework, though we won't be meeting. So I want you to continue developing your public speaking craft. Practice again, practice again, but do it like someone is watching, then practice again and never stop practicing, because you have something to give and it may as well be right. So I'd love to hear about your progress, see you speak. If you have something that comes up once social distancing is over and things level out with COVID-19. Additionally, I'd love to support anything that you are doing to positively make an impact. So this is my personal cell and also my email address for folks if you want to continue to reach out. And our quote for today is from Fred Miller. The worst speech you'll ever give will be far better than the one you never give. Take risks, get out there and do it, because you all have something to give. So before we do Q&A, I really want to show, or actually no, let's just do Q&A and then we're gonna close with this video. So does anybody have any questions for me? You can raise your hand or type things in the chat box if you do.
We have a few comments. Someone who taught Sunday school regularly, I completely understand weathering the challenges of public speaking. Thank you for this course. It is really appreciated, from Adria. Awesome tips. Thank you, SPB, from Janice Sarwatari. And Meredith, we have a lot of thank yous from Meredith, Carolina, Rebecca, and I'm pretty sure everybody else.
Thank you all very much. I really wanted this to be something that would be encouraging for everyone. We are going to go like another 5 minutes over because I really want to show this video, and it's called I've Come Too Far to Quit. And you all have come too far, not just in this public speaking course, but in your journeys, in your life journeys, to quit. And don't let fear stop you, because fear can be that one thing, that one obstacle that gets in our way to where we decide that we won't make the impact that we want to make, where we decide that our purpose is no longer of value because fear has taken over. So do your public speaking when opportunities come up. Make sure you're practicing. You can practice alone. You can practice with other people. I have people tell me that I speak very well. It took time to get here. It wasn't something that happened overnight. But the one thing I did have were people in my corner who encouraged me, who uplifted me, who told me great job. And so make sure you have people around you that are providing inspiration and also giving you feedback. I have people telling me, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that," or "What if you change this? That would be awesome. That would make it more impactful." So surround yourself with people who are going to help encourage your public speaking gift and also help encourage you to make an impact. So with that, let's watch our final video.
When I look at people, I always ask the question, I say, man, tell me what Nike stands for. They said, oh, Ink, that's easy, just do it. I said, tell me what Adidas stands for. Oh, Ink, that's easy, man, impossible is nothing. I said, now tell me what you stand for. When people look at you, do they think excuses? When people look at you, do they think victory? When people look at you, do they think that's a person that's going to give me everything they got, not on some days, but on every day, and it's not going to be predicated upon if I feel like it, because I think we all know if we only worked on the days when we felt like it, none of us would get much accomplished. I'm talking about the real level of commitment, not the commitment that falls in line if everything goes right. I'm speaking of the commitment that says, I am going to stay true to what I said I would do long after the move that I've studied in his life. See, most people, ladies and gentlemen, are stoppable. Most people, all you have to do is tell them no. All you have to do is make it inconvenient for them. All you have to do is make it difficult for them, and they'll stop. See, when you go to get your goal, don't think that all you have to do is think positive and everything's going to work out okie-dokie for you. When you go to get your goal, you're sending a telegram to Murphy's Law to visit you personally. You thought you were just going to have a dream and a goal, and you were just going to wake up and just walk into the sunset. You're like, dream, boom. It don't work like that. You have a dream, and then life pumps you. Life pumps you and say, do you really want this? You're going to lose friends. Do you really want this? Do you really want this? Cousins going to abandon you. People that you used to be like this with going to think you bougie, don't want to deal with you. It's a part of it, but I paid too much. If I was going to quit, I would have quit in the abandoned building when I wanted to commit suicide and take my life. I should have quit when I heard my boy say, your mama don't want you. Your daddy don't want you. Take your life. I got through that. So why am I going to quit over F on the grave? Come on. And so I'm telling y'all, you have come too far to quit now. You have invested too much to quit now. You have lost too much to quit now. Don't cry about it. Don't whine about it. Get a reward for your pain.
And so by being committed to everything that I started, I finished it. It built a certain type of spirit. It built a certain type of mentality. It built a certain type of individual. And so now I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. I had too much sweat equity in my life and everything that I was doing.
You're too close to quit now.
You gotta take another lap. You gotta take another lap. Because you never know. This might be the one. You can't stop because you're tired. You can't stop because you got your feelings hurt. You got to take another lap. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. You're going to make it. You're going to do it. You got an unstoppable fire. Come on, take another lap. Don't you stop. Don't stop walking.
So with that, thank you all very much. I appreciate you. And Jeannie's gonna put her slides up. And I hope that provided some inspiration for everyone, because you all are going to make it. Oh, Jeannie, switch your presenter view.
Oh, is it showing the notes?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, well, let's see if I could switch. And if it does, if it still continues, just let's roll with it. Same?
No, you're good.
Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody. You know, I don't know, can we do this? Can you unmute everybody minor?
Yeah.
So whoever's on the call, can we do this? Put your hands together and let's give Jen a round of applause.
So kind.
Great job.
Good job.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
So we're
up, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Right, and I wanted Jen to hear that because this world of virtual, this world of virtual, and in this way, it has been amazing. And this is the third and final for this series, but there should be others in the future.
And
so I want to acknowledge and thank Jen.
We're gonna do everything we can.
Let me see if we could do a quick, well, anyways, if you guys could do a quick mute on yours, that would be really wonderful. Thank you. So please go look in your chat box, complete the post test and the evaluation. And as shared the last time, your CEUs and certificates, once those are completed, will be sent to you by the end of the month. And finally, last but not least, we have upcoming workshops.
hello, Ms. Harris. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, but Jeannie's talking. Can you mute yourself and we can talk after?
Okay. All right. So we have workshops this week, youth marijuana use trends, LGBTQ trauma-informed care. And next week, week 4, those workshops will close for registration tomorrow, Thursday. So make sure that you register if you're interested in any of the following: policy advocacy, vice trends, ABCs to developing engaging curriculum, facilitation, and results on oriented leadership. And with that, let me see, anything else here? No, I think that's it. This is part 3. We thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, thank you all very much. This was fun. Sorry we didn't get to our activity, but you know, maybe we can set something else up. You all have been awesome.
Miss Harris,
Yes.
the videos to the slides, like the videos that you shared, are there going to be links in addition to the slides once you provide it?
Yes, they will be.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to, have as many resources at my disposal to learn as possible.
Yeah,
I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate all that you've done. I've learned a lot, and it's reinforced a lot for me. So thank you. Your efforts don't go unnoticed nor unused. So appreciate your time.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for sending the video. I'm glad we were able to show it. You did a great job.
Appreciate you, ma'am.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Likewise.